Hey guys, I'm Frank Ambrose, owner of Vita Bottega. At Vita, we specialize in protecting and elevating your investments, from paint protection film and ceramic coatings to window tint and custom vinyl work. We work with everyday drivers, business owners, and fleets who care about quality, longevity, and doing things right the first time. What I respect most about the table and about the real Melixa is the honesty. The real conversations about business, leadership, and growth. No fluff, just real strategy and real execution. That's why I'm proud to sponsor this episode and fully endorse the real Melixa. If you're serious about building something solid, this is the room for you. Enjoy the episode.
Melixa Rivera-Sustache, welcome to the table.
Thank you.
I'm so excited to have you. So can we start by talking a little bit about what you do?
Absolutely. So I have different roles in my life, but I think that all of them, what I can just boil it down to is I solve problems for people, right? So either my 9 to 5 job, which I normally spend all my day doing so, and my consulting businesses, right? So my husband and I have an automotive business, and we started with businesses back then in 2016 with real estate investment. And since then, we have helped other people also try to find their niche and expand the entrepreneurship journey.
You're involved in the military, you're involved in business and entrepreneurship. What is the main lesson that you have taken away from all three of those? What is the biggest lesson?
Stay elastic. And when I say that, is the resilient part of all of it. I think that in every single one of the roles, I've had to just bounce back in different ways, right? Just because you grow as a human and you also grow as a professional. So in all of them, just stay elastic, stay resilient to the changes, and make sure that you're aligned to what you need to be aligned to at that moment. Whatever that is in your career, your personal life, whatever.
Can you expand on that a little bit more? Maybe a story that goes with that. So, maybe my military career as a civilian for the Army Corps of Engineers, I started as a chemical engineer researcher, right? I went to school for it. I love chemistry. I love math. It was something that I was always driven to the research world. And I knew early in my career that I did not want to do cookie cutting processes because I felt like that was going to bore me, with time. And when I did my internships, I did research internships with the Department of Energy. And I knew, well, this job with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers aligns with what I like, aligns with what I'm meant to be. In my career path is engineering. I'm going to be able to continue to do my grad school, but very early in my career, I learned that research was not all that I wanted to do. I learned 3 years into that I was a little bored because I need quick return of investments. Like I need to see results quicker, and that's not sometimes what you look into when you're doing research, right? So I learned the hard way to say no to PhDs. I learned how everyone is doing a PhD around me because your research, you need those 3 letters next to your name. If you don't have the PhD, people are not going to believe that you're a good researcher and didn't going to believe your publications. So that was a moment that I had my first like, oh my God moment. Like, what do I do now? Like, I felt like, I'm not a researcher. I thought that was everything I wanted it to be. And how do I turn in my career? How do I say no to my bosses? How do I say no to my family that is kind of like looking at me and looking at this engineering building, all this research world? And understanding that I was okay to say no at that moment and start looking what I really wanted to do instead of like what I thought it was going to be, was my biggest lesson of them all. Right now, I had to stop and say, listen, I'm doing this for myself. I don't like it anymore. I need to turn and I need to go to a different direction that is not anything that I thought. And I had to learn how to be that new person that I wanted to be. And that entitled securities in myself, and also entitled being able to receive a lot of feedback that might not what I want to hear. Like, are you crazy? You're quitting your PhD. Like, are you crazy? What are you going to be doing then? Right? You're not a researcher anymore. Like, are you crazy? Why are you doing this? You know how much money you can make with all the PhD, whatever. So all that comes with making that shift where people might not like it, may not look at it the same way that you're doing, but you're doing it for yourself. So can you go back to the quick results statement? You're a visionary. So what does that look like for you specifically? I think that it doesn't necessarily have to be in a career. It's just everything in life in general, right? So if I have a friends that need help and I can turn around and help them in 24 hours, that will satisfy my life, right? But at the same time, I feel like if I'm in a career, I don't necessarily have to change path, but like be able and available for other aspects of my career, right? So we sometimes focus on being an employee or being a team member, but once you are a team member, you're still a coworker, you're still a friend, you're still a family member and stuff like that. So for me, quick return of investments mean I can, I don't know, make a pot of coffee in 30 minutes and satisfy the fact that you had a meeting and you didn't know you needed coffee for that meeting. And I'm there to do so. Or I'm also there to help you build a business plan in 6 weeks. And I didn't know you needed my help. It's kind of interesting because I could do, like I said, like a pot of coffee for a big meeting, or I can just simply make a business plan and help you do a marketing plan. And all of that satisfied me in at the same level because at the end of it, I'm helping you solve a problem that you needed. It's like, I guess I like to use the term use me as you see me, and not necessarily has to be changing path in careers, but like making myself available within my field where I'm sitting at that moment. That could be at work, that could be at home, and that could be in my business itself.
So you talked about not getting your PhD. Did you do your master's then?
Okay, I did my master's.
So do you think it's worth it? What are your thoughts on
I think it is worth it. I think having a PhD is also worth it.
Yeah.
And it all depends on what is it that you want, right? So I needed to test the waters, and I did like almost 32 credits on my PhD career. I was so close to do it, but I just didn't find the fun of reading and writing.
Yeah.
And doing all the stuff that I just really didn't feel the passion for. I feel I was forced. But I think that it is important for people to have their PhDs, and if that's the career path that they have, and they identify themselves to have the education, absolutely. Having a master's, absolutely. Going to school teaches you disciplines and things that you will not learn by not doing so. Yes, teamwork, that's something that you're always gonna do, even if you're an entrepreneur or if you go to a 9-to-5 job.
Yeah.
And that's something that schools give you. Interactions with people that have different backgrounds, different interests, different cultures. I mean, that is all needed. And just having the discipline and studying and learning more. I think that the master's and the PhD, when you go to those niches, and it helps you define what is it that your interest is about and be a knowledgeable person in that specific topic or everything that comes with it. So I think that education is really important, and I think that the PhD and masters are worth it if that's what you're going to take moving forward, if it's going to teach you something.
Yeah. So you're in different executive positions,
Right.
When you meet a new leader in an organization, how can you tell that they are ready to grow or they're ready to lead?
I know it is, and I think it's one of my like I always have this discussion with my husband and everyone that knows me. I think that one of my biggest gifts in life is I can look at a person and tell exactly how they're gonna go.
Yeah.
And most of the time, it all boils down with, is that person an egocentric person?
How can you know?
Ego is for me, it's a very easy to kind of like catch. For example, you ask a question and that person answers a question, but then when you try to answer a question, doesn't pay attention to what you want to say.
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, yeah, I already answered my question. I don't even care about what you're doing, and kind of like brush it off. That's a good way, because sometimes people sit there and start talking about, oh, all of this is who I am, and this is what I'm here, and this is what I'm good at. And then when you start asking questions and you want to say why you're so great and why it will be great to work with you and or be part of your team, they don't even comment on it. They just don't even look at you. They just like on their own little world, because that's kind of like an egocentric thing. Also, and I'm saying that because sometimes people don't like to be challenged. I think that not wanting to be challenged because you're a leader person comes a lot with the fact that you have a big ego, not wanting to learn more about things. And that's kind of like how it goes, you know. You have to look at the person. If the person goes and gets coffee just for themselves, like, so you're just meeting this person and you're just meeting your new leader, and he doesn't offer you coffee. She doesn't try to kind of like be more than a person in the room. Those are tendencies of people that are just thinking about themselves. I'm gonna have my coffee, I'm good. How about you? I don't care. Just figure it out.
Right. I wonder also if that's very cultural too. This culture specifically seems to silo more everybody on their own, very individualistic, very independent. Versus I feel like, like a Puerto Rican culture is a lot more community.
Cultures have pros and cons. And obviously the fact that we are on people's spaces and we're just like huggers and touchers or whatever. At the same time, I think that
people deserve their spaces in certain ways. So it's a balance between all of it. But yeah, I do agree. It's the way you are raised, right? So the American dream is the American dream everywhere you go.
Yeah.
And that's what you get just put in your brain since you are a little. I mean, either you live here or you live outside, right? So and that's why most of the people want to experience what that American dream is all about because we all know about it. But at the same time, you can just adjust as you see fit with what is it that you want to do in life. But culturally, yeah, absolutely. And I think that the more you want the fame and the status, the less that you worry about others, which will be the other way around. I think that you can see a lot of people that have a lot of money that don't spend the money on things that are not deserving, such as vacation, cars, shoes, purses, makeup, which is all fine. Again, we go back to the balance. Like, right, do I want all this money to just be sitting in my bank account to show people how worth I am? Can I show people my worth without money?
Yeah.
And that's where I don't see it here. I think that the worthiness of a human is how smart you are, how much money can you make, instead of like show me who you really are and how worth it you are to the humans around you in general. So
Yeah. So what are the traits of the opposite of that egocentric personality? What traits are you looking for in those people that you think are ready to lead?
people that are ready to lead need to be able to have communication, maturity in communication, right? Intelligence in communication.
Yeah.
I think that if you don't know how to communicate with people, you're not going to be able to lead. Everyone has a way to receiving a message and everyone has a way to sending a message. And when that collides, that is something that you need to understand, number one. Number two, make it merge. So avoid the collision and go towards the merging of. And when leaders are not able to understand that aspect, not only with communication, but with like strategies, with like lifestyles, with whatever is it that the person is bringing to the team, you're always going to have a collision. And if you have a collision, you are not going to be a good leader because you're going to be bumping all the time. So is that synergy, that merging of people can have different styles, people can have different way of doing things, people have different knowledge, but how can you just like make it merge into one big thing? Because as I always say, 7 rubber bands are stronger than one, and they're all different, you know? So if you have a team full of, you have your 7 rubber bands, but you still using every single one by itself, you're not being strong.
I love that. That's what we're going to call this episode, 7 rubber bands.
I love it. But it's how I see it in my mind, I don't think that one human can do it all. I think that you need a team of people and knowledge and you need different perspective. And it doesn't mean that yours is wrong. It doesn't mean that the other person is right. But you can take from each one of them and make it something that will merge and make sense.
Yeah.
Whatever it is that you're doing.
That makes sense. So for the people who are maybe starting out, what advice would you give to those people?
What is your business is going to tell? It's not only be a brand, it's not only going to be what you are solving, it's going to be who you are. And if you don't have the elasticity, going back to that, to be able to get the pressure, to be able to get the feedback, to be able to encounter all the issues that you're going to have in business, you're going to fail.
Yeah. Do you think that business owners need to have this resilience and this like a baseline that is maybe a little bit different for maybe fear, uncertainty?
I mean, I think that as an entrepreneur, you will have fears, you will have uncertainty. It's overcoming that, right? And the only way you can do that is by not quitting. And I do believe that every single entrepreneur that has the desire to start a business and move forward with entrepreneurship has what it takes to do so, as long as they're prepared to get all of that. Not everyone can take the pressure.
Yeah.
Not everyone can take the pressure. Not everyone can take the criticism. Not everyone can take the failure. Like you were not done walking. It was a process. And even when you started walking, you kept falling, right?
Yeah.
And what do you have? Your parents or whomever was taking care of you, lifting you up and helping you through it. And that's exactly the entrepreneurship journey. You're going to start on the floor, not even moving. When you're a newborn, you have everything and everyone is feeding you and you're trying to figure it out who you are. How do you learn? How do you learn how to walk? How do you learn how to eat? But you have people around you that will be there to help you and assist you when you need to. But at the same time, you need to be okay with falling, and you need to be okay with failing, and you need to be okay with not being okay. Because if you're not, you're going to quit. And entrepreneurship, there are quitters, there are non-entrepreneurships, and there are entrepreneurships are entrepreneurs that are quitters. Like you can have both. You can have the quitters and you can have the ones that are entrepreneurs, and you can have entrepreneurs that are quitters. So, but you cannot be both. Because if you're an entrepreneur, you cannot be a quitter.
Yeah.
That's just how it is. You have to go through it. But if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a quitter, then you're an entrepreneur. Because entrepreneurship is defined by the ability to stick to it.
Yeah.
You know, you see the little memes of like the old skinny guy going through the big rock, right? And just kind of like chipping and chipping. Yeah. Chipping and chipping. And you are these far from like going through the other side of the big rock. If you quit, you're never going to get there. And if you're an entrepreneur, you're not going to quit.
It does feel like that. It feels like you're literally chipping away at a rock and you can't see the other side.
You can't see the other side. And there will always be that little bit of a rock in every stage of your entrepreneurship. I don't think that there is a way that you're going to break it through and see on the other side, because there's always room for growth.
Right.
And that is what I have in my mind. It's like, I'm not going to be able to and go through. And if I do, I need another rock, because there's going to be another rock in the middle of my journey that I will have to go and chip through it and get to that little space and then break through and get to the other one. And obviously you want a bigger rock every single time.
Yeah.
Because you don't want the easy way. You don't want to feel comfortable.
No.
So if you feel comfortable, you don't grow. And if you don't grow, then you have a hobby.
Yeah.
You don't have a business.
Yeah. It's a hobby.
So it's like, a hobby. Like you're just like, I'm doing this for fun. No. If you have a business, you need to be okay with chipping through the little rock and then making a bigger rock and start over again. And if you cannot do this multiple times, you're not an entrepreneur.
Yeah. At this point, I've just like adjusted to the fact that, oh, this is my life. Like, I just don't know what's coming and I have to chip away.
And you will never know what's coming, because even if you work 9 to 5, you don't know what's coming.
Right.
I mean, those things that just happen right now. And like, I mean, I have a federal job. Hey, did I know it was going to be for a lot? No, you don't know what's coming. So that's how it is.
So what has all of this experience taught you about building strong communities?
It's all about people.
Yeah. The relationships.
It's all about people. You can have the biggest product, you can have the biggest service, but if you don't care about the people that are affected or being the effect of the products and services, you're not going to be successful. And not only in your business, but even your professional career, whatever is it that is your path. You need to worry about the people around you. You need to worry about how they feel. They need to worry about how they feel about you and how you impact those people around you. That's just how it goes. I mean, your friends, your family, your coworkers, your clients, your neighbors, the random person on the street.
Okay, the last question that I have for you is, how do you define success in a way that most people would disagree with?
Success is what I make of.
Oh, okay. Can you expand?
Would disagree. Everyone has their own goals.
Yeah.
And everyone have their own path. And if I have accomplished 9 out of 10 steps on my path, I'm being successful, even when that is not what other people will define success. Maybe their path is only 3 steps, and that includes waking up, going to work, and going back to sleep. But my path doesn't have to be like everyone else's path. So I define my success. And I don't think that a lot of people agree with that, because they will say, well, success is me being able to have my business for more than 5 years. Or success will be me being able to have $10,000 savings account in 6 months. So success is what you make of.
Yeah. I love that. So how can people reach you if they were going to reach out to you for like business consulting or real estate?
Well, they can go to all my social medias. My handle is @TheRealMelixa, Melix as in extreme A. Or they can just go to my website, therealmelixa.com, or call me 217-712-2799. That's what it is. 217-792-2799. You can text me, you can call me. That's fine. That's perfect.
We'll link it in the show notes too. All right. Well, thank you so much for being on. I appreciate you so much.
Hey, this is great. I've been loving every single episode, so I'm excited.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that makes me so happy to hear.
You're doing a great job.
Thank you.